To most treekin, the world is a confusing and muddled place. Even for elven souls, the process of death and rebirth required to become a treekin is incredibly traumatic. The experience inevitably breaks their mind, with only scattered recollections of their former lives remaining. Random memories of people and places long past flutter into existence before disappearing just as quickly. While they may be drawn to certain glades and will fearlessly protect the forest from threats, one cannot say that a treekin is truly the same individual they once were. For every rule, however, there is an exception. In this case, the exception is the individual known as Amadri Ironbark. Just as with all treekin, Amadri's spirit did not always dwell within a twisted knot of dead wood. Once, long ago, he was an elven prince named Amadri Dawnspear. He was the lord of Aranok, a sun-kissed land located in the northeastern portion of Athaloran. Also known as the Summer Strand, Aranok was perpetually held in the grasp of a gentle summer. This bountiful region of the forest was relatively unaccustomed to the harsh realities of war so commonly encountered in the other Wood Elf courts. As a result, most elves of the Summer Strand spent their time celebrating and feasting for days on end. Alas, this commitment to leisure left the elves disastrously underprepared when tragedy inevitably struck. In 2084 IC, a storm of magic blew down from the northern Chaos Wastes. The Vaults of Winter, a series of frozen, demon-haunted caverns in the southern portion of Aranok, was soaked in its chaotic energy. The enchantments imprisoning the demons of Slaanesh within its icy grasp strained beneath the sorceress' onslaught before finally succumbing to its weight. Daemonettes and fiends of Slaanesh, normally frozen within the vaults, poured out of the caves like a flash flood. Nothing but pain and devastation followed in their wake. Amadri Dawnspear, unable to stand by and see his people suffer, rallied a host of elves to repel the demonic invaders. He and his flint-eyed warriors met the Daemonettes in battle to eliminate their evil once and for all. Their efforts were met with disastrous failure. By the end of the day, Amadri's warriors were little more than bloody ruins on the forest floor, and Dawnspear himself was taken prisoner by the demons. The Daemonettes tortured him as only the followers of Slaanesh can, and he suffered terrors unimaginable to human minds. To make matters worse, Amadri's tormentors cursed him with perfect recall, so that no sensation would escape his attention. Amadri's body was broken in short order, and he soon slipped into the sweet embrace of death. Despite the horrors he had endured, Amadri's spirit was intact. As his soul entered the weave of Athaloran, he refused to surrender his personality to its leafy embrace. Instead, his essence animated the gnarled remains of a dead tree elsewhere in the forest. Amadri Dawnspear was reborn as Amadri Ironbark, a treekin of immense skill and power. The curse laid upon him by his demonic torturers let Ironbark remember everything about his past life. This proved to be most unfortunate for the demons, as Amadri woke with a surety of purpose unheard of among treekin. Seeking bloody vengeance for the pains inflicted upon himself and his people, Amadri once more rallied a host against the demons. Instead of raising an army of elves, however, Amadri called up an army of dryads and treekin to punish the invaders. The demons were destroyed to the last, swept from the ancient groves of Aranok by screaming forest spirits. After ensuring his home was safe from further harm, Amadri ventured alone to the Vaults of Winter. Using his immense strength, the treekin pulled massive boulders down from nearby mountain peaks and sealed the vaults, hopefully ending its threat for all time. After ending the demonic invasion, Amadri returned to Aranok. Due to his intact memory, he was able to continue acting as Aranok's lord after this ordeal. He has ruled wisely in the centuries since then, and Aranok's eternal summer has prospered under his guidance. Yet there was a price for retaining his personality. While the Daemonette's curse let him remember his life before becoming a treekin, it also forced him to remember every excruciating detail of his torment and death. Amadri is constantly haunted by a phantom pain that his body can no longer physically experience. It is a testament to his willpower that this hasn't driven him mad over the centuries since then. While the Vaults of Winter stayed relatively quiet after Amadri's transformation, the Summer Strand has not been without its trials since then. In 2252 IC, the entirety of Athaloran saw an unprecedented rise in beastman activity. This was one of the bloodiest summers in the history of the forest, with every Wood Elf realm coming under attack. Aranok was not exempt from this, and a horde of Jabberslights attacked their halls and glades. Countless elves succumbed to their fearsome appearance, driven irrevocably insane by a mere glance at the nightmarish beasts. Amadri once more rallied his fellow Treekin in response, and led them against the monstrosities. Immune to the Jabberslight's hideous appearance, the Treekin were able to repulse them after nearly a year of fighting. Many chaotic abominations fell before their wooden fists, and it would be many decades before trouble came to Aranok once more. Alas, the next major threat Amadri Ironbark would face would prove to be his last. Late in the End Times, after all three elven subcultures had reunited under the banner of the Eternity King, the Vaults of Winter stirred once more. Demons exploded out of the ancient caverns in numbers that made previous incursions seem like a gentle summer breeze. Unlike previous attacks, the cold of the vaults followed them this time. The artificial winter was so bitter that many forest spirits, Amadri among them, immediately fell into a torpor so deep that they could never be awakened again. Functionally, he was dead. Thus did Amadri Ironbark pass from this world, felled not by a mighty chaos champion or beastman monstrosity, but by the changing of the seasons. In Total War Warhammer, Amadri Ironbark is the leader of the Wrath of Nature rogue army on the campaign map. It's kind of what you'd expect, populated mostly by forest spirit units and other vaguely nature-y units. He's also in command of the reinforcements in Imric's quest battle for the Dragon Bruar, Protector of Life. Stat-wise, he appears to be a generic treeman without any access to the Winds of Magic. This isn't quite right, as Amadri is decidedly not a treeman. He's a treekin, which is totally different. Still, this is an elegant way to put Amadri into the game. Treekin characters don't exist yet, so making him a treeman ancient without any magic is a good compromise between what is in the lore and what CA can do with the tools they already have. As much as I personally like Amadri, I think CA made the right decision to use him as a bit of an Easter egg for eagle-eyed lore fans, rather than make him his own legendary character. Besides retaining his memory and position within Wood Elf society, while presumably dealing with the mother of all PTSD cases following his torture, he's no different from any other treekin. While this makes him interesting to read about, it doesn't necessarily do anything for him in a gameplay setting. He didn't have special stats on tabletop, and he would probably feel like a worse version of Durthu if added to the Total War series at this point. I guess not all cool characters need to be in the game, at least not in a meaningful way. On that note, we have reached the end of this overview of Amadri Ironbark. He's a cool character in the Wood Elf Army book, and it's a shame there's not more written about him. A treekin character with perfect recall of his past life, the contrast between living as an elf and then as a treekin just seems so ripe with storytelling potential, at least to me. If you also thought Amadri was pretty neat, be sure to like the video and leave a comment down below. If you want to hear more about stuff like this, you should also subscribe to the channel so you can see more of my videos as they come out. That's all I have for now though, so until next time, this has been Sigmar's Chosen, signing off for now.